Why don't we come to Formula One's most recent winner, George Russell. Second victory in the bag. What was the most satisfying aspect of your win in Austria last weekend?
Yeah, it was. It's always great to be back on the top step, and obviously there's been so much hard work from the whole team to improve the car and get us in a position to do that. I said afterwards I felt like we should have won the race in Montreal and ended up P3, and at the weekend we should have finished P3 and we won the race, and that's how racing goes sometimes. But it's so great we're now in an opportunity to be fighting the front, fighting for podiums, and ready to capitalise when things happen.
When things happened, what chance things happening this weekend at Silverstone?
I've got to ask this guy if there's much going to happen, but it's. I think it's going to be a good fight again this weekend. I think Lando and Max are probably going to be the two guys out in front. They look really fast in the high speed corners the last couple of races, and of course here in Silverstone there's a lot of high speed sections. So I expect those guys to be the favourites, but I don't think we'll be far behind.
All right, George, thank you. Lando, let's come to you. We're going to throw it back before we come on to the British Grand Prix. When you look back at what happened with Max in Austria, what did you learn?
We've gone over things a few times. I've learned many things. I think a lot of stuff I was anticipating and knew about, but it's still a different. Yeah, it's different. You're fighting against different people. You're fighting in different ways at the top, comparing to when you're a bit further back, like we have done the last kind of year or so. But at the same time, Max has a very different way of racing comparing to a lot of others, and that's some of the reasons of why he's a champion. But all in all, yeah, we reviewed it. I'm excited to go again this weekend and try to do a better job.
You say Max races differently. What does he do differently?
You're getting into the details. I think it's clear. It's not stuff I need to talk about. It's clear how he races. It's tough. It's on the limit, and I think it's what we love. It's what I love. I thoroughly enjoyed the whole fight I had with him. Of course, it was a shame things ended the way they did, but apart from that, things are clear from what you see on TV, and I think I'm excited to go race him again this weekend.
Have you and Max spoken since Sunday?
Yeah, we did.
Did he apologise?
Honestly, I don't think he needed to apologise. I think like some of the things I said in the pen after the race were just more just because I was frustrated at the time. A lot of adrenaline, a lot of just emotions, and I probably said some things I didn't necessarily believe in, especially later on in the week. It was tough. Like it was a pretty pathetic incident in terms of what ended both our races. It wasn't like a hit. It wasn't like an obvious bit of contact. It was probably one of the smallest bits of contact you could have, but with a pretty terrible consequence for both of us, especially for myself. So, yeah, he doesn't need to. I don't expect an apology from him. I don't think he should apologise. I thought it was, as a review, good racing. At times, maybe, very close to the edge, but like we said, we've spoken about it, we've talked about it, and we're both happy to go racing again.
All right, just final one from me quickly. How confident are you coming into the British Grand Prix?
I mean, we're on good form. We've been, again, very close the last few races, but Mercedes have been getting closer and closer. If you look back to last weekend, Mercedes were extremely quick, if not one of the quickest cars in the race. So they've taken probably a few steps forward since where they were. We're in a good position, but so are Red Bull. So, expecting a close battle between many of us.
All right, good luck this weekend. Thank you. Lewis, can I come to you now? You've had many close battles with Max Verstappen. What did you make of what happened between Lando and him last weekend in Austria?
Nothing really. I didn't think anything of it. I was more concerned about my race and enjoying the team's win.
Well, you've told us in the past that you treat Max differently on track. So What advice could you give to Lando about going wheel to wheel with Max?
Again, I don't think I need to. They've raced each other for many years, so yeah.
You're not going to be drawn on this, are you?
That's nothing to do with me.
All right. Well, look, let's bring it on to this weekend then, Lewis. You're going for a record 9th win here at Silverstone. Have you got the car to do that?
I think out of pure performance, I don't think we are currently in the same place as naturally as you've seen in the last couple of races. We, on these high-speed circuits particularly, McLaren I think probably might be the quickest, or at least Max maybe. And I think we're not that far behind. And I think we've definitely seen some really huge strides forward, and it's really great to see that we are slowly eking closer to the front runners.
All right. Well, look, best of luck to you. I'm sure there'll be more questions from the floor in a moment. Checo, let's come to you quickly. Look, Austria was a tough one for you. Do you understand the issues that you were having with your car?
Yeah, it was quite a tough weekend overall, especially the race with the damage we had in the car since lap 1, really. Basically, we were just out of contention. There was nothing with these small margins that we've seen. It was just a bit too much, the damage, and we were just going backwards.
Now, on paper, the fast sweeps of Silverstone should suit the RB20. How much confidence do you and the team have?
Yeah, I think it should be a strong weekend for us. We're looking forward to this sort of high-speed content, and Silverstone always throw a massive challenge. You know, with the wind, it can be particularly very challenging. So yeah, I think it's going to be all very close, as it's been the last few weekends already in different circuits. So I don't expect anything different. I think it's going to be everything super tight and close.
All right, look, best of luck to you. And Esteban, let's come to you. Now, talking of performance, Alpine went very well at Barcelona a few races back. That's a fast track. This is a fast track. So are you feeling confident coming to Silverstone that you can get back in the points?
Yeah, I think we're improving at the moment, which is good signs. In Barcelona we managed to get into the top 10. I qualified in the top 10 as well in Austria. Unfortunately, the race didn't go as planned. I just lost a component of the car on the curbs, which made us lose quite a lot of performance. But other than that, the weekend was well optimized until then, until the race was an outlier. But yeah, it's much more interesting now that we are able to be fighting for points and interesting results compared to how it was in the beginning of the season. So yeah, looking forward to see what we can do here. It's going to be an exciting one. It's always great to drive these cars around Silverstone, and yeah, I can't wait to be started.
Look, you mentioned the start of the season. Just how different is the car to drive now compared to back in Bahrain?
Well, it's going to be disappointing to say, but not very different. We are still investigating on why it's much better at the moment than it was at the beginning of the year. I think a lot of it is also track characteristic that helped us to be performing better, but it's not quite clear exactly on why we are performing better than the beginning of the year.
The final one from me. The jigsaw for 2025, the driver jigsaw, is close. It's edging closer to being finalised. What's your situation? When do you expect news as to what you'll be doing next year?
Yeah, it's going well at the moment on that side for me. So I hope in the next couple of races I'll be able to speak more about it.
Before the summer break?
Hopefully.
All right, okay. Thank you. Let's go to the broadcasters next. Who's got our first question, please? Craig, yeah.
Craig Slater, Sky Sports. A question for Lando. Lando, can I take it from how you were talking that in future with Max, you're going to have to race in different...
Craig, sorry, can I just interrupt you? Your audio's not going out. Can we get another microphone to Craig, please? Thank you. Sorry about this, Craig. Thank you. Go again.
Craig Slater, Sky Sports. A question for Lando. Can I take it from what you've said that in the future you're going to have to find a different way to race Max because he's not going to race any differently? And just to expand on that, before the contact happened, you talked about movement under braking from him. And having reviewed those laps, do you still think that's what was happening, or are you surprised that the stewards didn't intervene on that?
I mean, I think it was still very clear that it was happening, but yeah, it's a tricky one. You know, Max isn't going to want to crash. He's not going to want to ruin his own race and his own chances. So, I think yes, there are definitely things I need to do slightly differently, but in the end of it, I don't think he's going to change too much. I don't think I need to change too much. So, yeah, could we have avoided the crash? Definitely, because there's something I could have done. I easily could have used more curb, but yeah, there's things from both sides that I'm sure we wanted to do better or in a slightly different way. But on the whole, I think avoiding an incident from moving under braking is probably the biggest part of it. There could very easily be an incident that comes from such a thing, and I think that's the only thing we have to be very careful of is something that could happen. Yeah, so that's just something for the future and something that the stewards and FIA need to be aware of, that something could easily go wrong. So I think to a certain point, you're defending, you're being aggressive, and that's okay. But there'll be a point when there is a limit, and I think that just needs to be defined in a slightly better way.
All right, thanks, Lando. Simon, yeah.
Simon Lazenby, Sky Sports. I suppose opening that question to the floor, Lewis, you've kind of touched on it there, but it's the same question to all of you. Do you have to race differently when you're going wheel to wheel with Max Verstappen? George, can you start that one for me?
George, let's start with you. Incident in Baku last year springs to mind.
No, I don't think so, to be honest. You know, Max is one of the best and he's a hard racer and he'll push the rules to the limit, as all of the top drivers do, to be honest. So, yeah, I think we all know what the rules are around moving under braking. He probably pushed that slightly beyond the limit. As for the incident, as Lando said, it was just kind of a very small thing with big consequences and part of racing. So, yeah, short answer is no.
Esteban, please.
I mean, I'm not racing Max at the moment. We are not in the same category, so yeah, not for me to comment.
All right, Checo, please.
I agree with what George said. I think Max pushes every single bit to the limit, as many top drivers do, as many drivers in the grid do. And you know, when you're racing him, it's going to be a hard, fair battle.
Lewis, please.
Yeah, not a lot to add. I mean, I've spoken about it before.
All right. More questions from the broadcasters, please. Yes. Okay, no microphone. I'll repeat your question.
Question for Lewis. Lewis, you had so many great days here in Silverstone, so many victories. Is there one moment, one day, one race, the most special one for you in your Silverstone history?
Lewis, I'll just quickly repeat the question. You've had so many great memories at Silverstone. Is there one that stands out?
Yeah, I think 2008, I think will always be probably the most special. My first Grand Prix win here, and in the rain, and that's my first like real, I would say, engagement or the beginning of the journey with the fans here.
Okay, thank you. Any more? Yes.
Rodriguez from Dazón, Spain. A question to George and Lando. I guess you have imagined many times since you were kids winning your home Grand Prix in Formula One. I would like to know what it would mean for you to do it this weekend.
Okay, I'll just repeat the question to George, to Lando. You must have dreamt many times of winning your home race. What would it mean to you if it happened?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, for us, winning any Grand Prix is an incredible feeling. We both don't have many to our name, but to win your home Grand Prix is always the one that you dream of. And I think we're so fortunate to have Silverstone as our home race, because I truly think this weekend is really special for the fans, the amount of support we all have here. They're proper F1 enthusiasts. We came here as kids to watch other F1 races, so for sure, you know, it will always be special to get that opportunity.
Ask me after. I don't know. It's always hard. Like you know, you imagine your first win in general. It's hard to know what to think, what you're going to think, what you're going to feel until that time arrives. So it'll mean everything, because this has been my dream since I was a kid. I was watching, it was Lewis and Fernando back in 2007, 2008. So seeing that and dreaming of being in that position, and now being here and having those opportunities, and that's special enough. But yeah, standing on the top step, even standing up there last year and in second place was already pretty amazing. So like George said, a lot of the same, but yeah, I think it's better you ask us after it's happened.
All right, thanks both. Yeah, Mara.
Mara St. George's, Sky Sport Italy. I have a question for Lewis. Are you really interested in buying Gresini team or another team and also entering MotoGP?
Thank you. Mara, I'll just quickly repeat the question if I could. Lewis, are you interested in buying the Gresini motorbike team?
Well, I've always loved MotoGP. I'm interested in the potential growth of the sport, but I haven't looked that far into it just yet. But anything's possible. I'm definitely interested in, I've said before about equity, and already with the Broncos, there's already a first step in team ownership. And so, yeah, I think over the next 5 to 10 years, there'll be hopefully more. We'll see where.
All right, thank you, Lewis. Any more? Yeah, Diego.
Diego Mejia, Fox Sports Mexico for Lando. A year ago, you led this race at the beginning. Actually, had a little fight with Max. How much have you changed your mentality, and how would you describe that change? Because obviously, you celebrated second place, like a win last year, but it's a different thing right now.
So, Lando, you led the race for 4 laps here at Silverstone last year. Went wheel to wheel with Max. Has your mentality changed from last year to this year?
Slightly. I mean, we're fighting for a win this year. I don't think we were fighting for a win last year. So, little bits. In the end of the day, probably not that much. Yeah, a bit more confident. But apart from that, it's the same thing. I go out, I drive as quick as I can, and I try and win. But now we have a much better chance. So I think that's the main thing. But really, not too many differences.
Thank you. Any more from the broadcasters? Yes, Albert. No, okay. Still not working. Yeah.
Question for Lando. Lando, after the incident, Max could rejoin the race and score points. You couldn't. Do you think that incidents like that should be reviewed, having in account the consequences of the incident on the steward side?
So, Lando, you were unable to continue after the clash last weekend. Max was able to continue and scored points. Do you think there should be a review of the punishments given out?
It's tough. I think sometimes we say it should be, sometimes we say it shouldn't be as drivers. Yeah, at times you don't want the consequence to be taken into account. But also at times I think it definitely should be taken into account. But it's a very tough one, because our incident was so tiny. So for what it was, I don't think it really should have been a big penalty at all. Or even if a penalty in the end of the day. But considering it put me out of the race and took me out of a chance of winning a race and that kind of thing, then it definitely adds a lot more to the facts. And if we had a big enough lead and he could still go on to win the race or something, then yeah, I think I do think it needs to be taken into account in some ways, but understanding how and how much and where that line is, again, I think is a complicated and difficult thing. So yeah, something I'm sure we'll have to speak about as FIA and drivers, but not an easy thing to have a rule for.
Lando, can I just follow up on something you've just said, which is, do you think Max didn't deserve a penalty last weekend?
No comment.
All right. Any more from the broadcasters? Yeah.
Yeah, Rodriguez from DAZN Spain. Again, a question to Luis. You said before that one of your best moments was winning here in 2008. What was the big difference with the winning in 2021? It was a win as well. Your different feelings.
So, Luis, that first win in 2008, you've won a lot here. What is the difference in emotions, and including 2021?
2021 was still, I think, a great feeling. I think I'd been on such a long journey with the British fans, and we have, such great, really the best fans here. I don't know, I think it was just because it was a wet race, and it was the trickiest conditions that a racing driver will experience. And just the level that I was able to operate that day, and, I think it was like 68 seconds I won the race by. So it was like far out did any other race that I think I've probably ever done, particularly in the rain.